Attendance and call to order pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 amended on March 28, 2025. Governor Marley Healy signed into law an act extending pandemic-related authorizations related to public meetings, allowing remote meeting options for public bodies through June 30th, 2027. This April 7th Select Board meeting will be conducted by remote participation by the board. The Chair will grant permission to Westwood Media Center to record the meeting and to anyone else who wishes to do so. We will have a 3-minute time limit on statements, questions. You must give your name and address when posting questions. And with that, I'll lead into the chair's update. The annual town meeting is May 19th at the Westwood High School. Check-in is at 5:30. 6 p.m. we have resolutions, the John J. Cronin Public Service Award, and swearing in of newly elected officials. The meeting starts at 6:30, and I believe we're in the gymnasium this year. Dottie, please correct me if I'm wrong. Special election on June 3rd, 2025. Special election will be held on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. All precincts will vote at the Westwood High School Gymnasium. Will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Special election will include a ballot question for the debt exclusion override to fund the construction of a new fire station, FS1. This debt exclusion under Massachusetts Proposition 2.5 will allow the town to temporarily increase property taxes beyond the usual limits to cover the costs associated with borrowing for this capital project. And I think this last thing is Memorial Day. The Memorial Day commemoration and parade will be on May 26th. The town of Westwood will hold its Memorial Day commemoration parade on Monday, May 26th. The parade will begin at Westwood Town Hall, proceed along High Street, Route 109 to the new Westwood Cemetery. More details will be shared as we get closer to the event. We hope you will join us honoring those who have served. And with that, the next item on our agenda is executive session. Unless Rob or Mary Ann, you guys have a comment or anything to say? No? Okay, good. Select Board will be going into executive session to discuss one issue pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation involving the property at 637 High Street, discussion of which would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governing body. If discussion were to be held in open session, the board will return to open session in approximately 20 minutes or thereabouts. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I move that we go into executive session for the aforementioned reason.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Rob. Roll call, Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well, and we hope to see you folks back here in 20 minutes. Looks like we have everybody here. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And the next item on our agenda is discussion on / vote on the Zoning Board of Appeals settlement. Mary Ann, I understand you'd like to say a few words on this?
Yes,
And
thank you. Thank you, Joe. We are very pleased to announce that the town has successfully reached a settlement agreement with the group of 23 residents who in December of 2024 filed an appeal of the Zoning Board of Appeals decision granting 7 variances for the construction of a new Fire Station 1 on High Street. As part of the agreement, the appellants have withdrawn their appeal, allowing the town to move forward with this vital public safety project without further legal challenge. The settlement agreement reflects the town's willingness to mitigate impacts to the neighborhood with the proposed construction project, a discussion which began in earnest last fall. Specifically, the agreement provides for additional screening for the abutters, with payments for landscaping and tree plantings, and also includes payment for the abutters' legal expenses. A copy of the settlement agreement will be posted to the town website by sometime tomorrow. The Select Board is unanimous in its agreement that this settlement is in the best interest of the town and all of our residents. The settlement agreement clears the way for the fire station project to advance to town meeting without the cloud of litigation. We look forward to the continued community support for this vitally important fire station project as it proceeds to town meeting on Monday, May 19th, and then a ballot vote on Tuesday, June 3rd. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Good news. And thank you for all your hard work on that. I know you went above and beyond. Very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
With that being said, can I have a motion to accept the settlement agreement?
Yes, I move to accept and sign the settlement agreement as it is in our packet for the purposes of resolving the ZBA appeal regarding Fire Station 1. I further move that we post the settlement agreement on the town website.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Sir,
Uh, Select Board Member LeBlanc Cummings, do you also want to authorize electronic signatures?
Yes. I accept that friendly amendment to my motion.
Just a further clarification, point of order. Are those our electronic signatures or are those?
No, it'd be, the lawyers will sign the agreement.
Thank you. So I'll second that motion as amended.
roll call, Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Next item on the agenda is our annual town meeting article discussion / potential vote or any changes. Is there any discussion on this?
Yes. So relative to Article 15, the zoning bylaw amendment relative to municipal public safety facilities, we have discussed that article at length previously. And now that we have reached a settlement agreement with the abutters, and given that the reason the zoning bylaw amendment was proposed with respect to public safety facilities was so that we could move forward now with this project because it is the most fiscally responsible way to move forward. And now that the impediment to moving forward has been removed, I suggest that we propose that town meeting take no action on that article as it is no longer needed.
Is that in the form of a motion, Marianne?
I'm happy to make a motion along those lines unless we wanted to have any further discussion on it.
No further discussion from me. I think that your argument makes sense and I am comfortable with taking that action.
And just to be clear, this is for Article 15. Is that correct, Pat?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe it is.
All right, so have a motion. Rob, did you second that?
There was
Well, I
not a
haven't
We
moved
haven't
yet,
had the
Joe.
motion yet, Joe.
I hereby move that we authorize town council to discuss with the town moderator how to properly dispose of warrant article 15 such that it results in no town meeting action on it.
I second that motion.
Okay, now I can do it. Roll call, Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Rob, Marianne, or Chris, is there any further discussion on any of the annual town meeting articles? Do you have anything, Rob?
Nothing from me, Joe.
Okay, thanks. Marianne?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Okay. Chris, are we good?
All set, Mr. Chair.
Perfect. All right. Next, we have change of manager, Roche Brothers, RBSBW, doing business as Roche Brothers Supermarket, 338 Washington Street. Attending is Nora. Nora, can you take us through this next item?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Also attending are Michael Pendrati, who's the proposed manager of record for Roche Brothers in Westwood, as well as attorney James Sperber. So they're available to answer any questions you might have.
Be used to control the computer using only your keyboard. If you already know how to use VoiceOver.
Stephanie McManus, Finance Director, has left the meeting.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So just
Don't touch that key again.
to give you the basics, Michael Pendrati is recommended as the new manager of record for Roche Brothers. He has been with Roche Brothers since 2005, acting as the manager of record at stores in Sudbury and West Roxbury, and before that at the Brothers Market, or maybe it was in that time at the Brothers Market in Weston as well. He's a resident of Attleboro, Massachusetts, which is in line with your regulations for the issuance of alcohol licenses. Corey results have been taken, and they're positive, and the Alcohol Review Committee recommends unanimously that the board approve the change of manager at Roche Brothers.
Thank you, Nora. Rob or Marion, do you folks have any questions?
No questions from me, Joe.
No
Okay.
questions here.
Okay, and I don't see anything in the queue. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I would. I move that the select board approve Michael Pedranti as the manager of record at Roche Brothers Supermarkets pending Alcohol Beverages Control Commission approval, and for the electronic signatures of the select board to be added to the ABCC Licensing Authority certification form.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Rob. Roll call. Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you all. Next, we have a change of manager, Bart Cino, Westwood, doing business as Bart Cino, 569 High Street. Change of manager, and Nora, I believe you're going to lead us on this one.
I am, and in this one we have Brian Parkin, who's the proposed manager of record for Barcino, and we also have Gary Morris, and Gary is the regional manager for the Newport Restaurant Group and has been acting manager of record since Barcino opened last year. So I can give you some background. If you have any questions, Gary or Brian would be able to answer those. So Mr. Parkin resides in Framingham, Massachusetts, which is consistent with your regulations. He's been with Barcino's parent company, Newport Restaurant Group, since 2012. He's currently the general manager of the Westwood location, so we're looking to make him the manager of record. He has in the past been both the general manager and the manager of record at Barcino's Watertown restaurant. He's also, prior to that, been an assistant manager at Legal Seafoods. His Corey results were favorable, and the Alcohol Review Commission recommends unanimously that the board vote to approve Brian Parkin as the manager of record at Barcino's.
Thank you, Nora. Rob, Marianne, any questions or comments?
Just a comment, Brian, welcome to Westwood. You guys have been doing a great brisk business over there. We welcome you. And don't let Gary give you a hard time about 6 months in, because Westwood does slow down in the summertime. So if he compares his first 6 months to your next 6 months, it could be a little different.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the well wishes.
Best of luck, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, someday I hope to get in there, but maybe during the summertime, Rob, when it quiets down, we'll
There
give it
you
a
go.
shot again. Yeah. All right. Anybody like to make a motion?
I would. I move that the select board grant approval to Brian Parkin being named manager of record at Barcino pending Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission approval, and for the electronic signatures of the select board to be added to the ABCC Licensing Authority certification forms.
I second that motion.
Roll call. Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you all very much. Welcome
Thank
to
you all.
Westwood. Yep.
Appreciate it.
And Nora, I think you're up for our next one, which is 24 Cedar Hill Drive, 36 Whitney Ave, right of first refusal. Can you?
Joe,
Yes.
may I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
I live in the Cedar Hill neighborhood, and I am going to recuse myself from the discussion regarding 24 Cedar Hill Drive. So I wanted to just alert Nora to that. If we could perhaps segment the discussion.
What, if I may, Marianne?
Yeah.
What I think you should do is take them one at a time, Joe.
Okay.
That's what I meant. So, how would you
I
like to do
I
it,
knew you
Nora?
meant that.
Which do you want to do first?
I think actually it would be easiest if we do 24 Cedar Hill Drive first. So if you want to jump off, and then we'll notify you when we finish that discussion.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I also have Lou Rizzoli in as an attendee. Will he be attending, Nora?
I think he's just here to listen.
Okay.
So we do have Amanda Wolf. Amanda is our housing agent, and she is responsible for the resale of affordable housing properties and for all aspects of our affordable housing in town. But she's been working closely with the estates of individuals related to the two homes we'll be discussing. So Amanda, if you could start describing 24 Cedar Hill Drive and let the board know where we stand.
Yes, so we received a completed notice of intent from the estate of 24 Cedar Hill Drive. The owner of the home has passed away, and according to the deed writer, we have to, it now has to be listed for resale. The town, like with any local initiative program properties, first has to exercise its right of first refusal, which means either the town decides to purchase the property or designate a designee to purchase property or allow it to be sold to an income eligible family. The great thing about selling it to an income eligible family is that when these homes in Cedar Hill Estates and also Chase Estates, when we get to that one, come up for resale, it allows us to replace the deed writer with a universal deed writer. So it goes from having a 50-year expiration on our subsidized housing inventory to being in perpetuity. So it has a long-term benefit to the town when these properties turn over.
So as Amanda mentioned, the owner who originally purchased 24 Cedar Hill Drive in the 1990s passed away several years ago, and the estate has recently provided notice of their intent to sell the property. So the first step is for the select board to either determine it wishes to purchase the property or determine it wishes to offer the property for resale. When the program was first initiated, it was the town's intention to advertise properties for resale. In recent years, we have worked with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to list properties for resale through that office, and we coordinate with them. So if the select board is not interested in purchasing this property for the town's own affordable housing needs, then we are requesting that you vote to decline the offer to purchase the property and instead agree to work with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to offer the property for resale to an eligible household.
I have no questions, Joe. If you're, you have anything?
Yeah, no, I'll speak with Amanda after the meeting. So no, I'm good, Rob.
Okay, then I will make a motion that the select board authorize 24 Cedar Hill Drive to be resold to an eligible buyer according to the terms of the deed writer and to make the resale of, no, that's, so according to the terms of the deed writer, hard stop. So if you'd like me to read that again to have it clean, town council, I would be happy to do so.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to read it again to have it just be clear and clean.
I see
I
it
mo-
before,
move-
I see a hand up.
Mm.
I can't see who it is.
Lou Rizzoli.
Okay, sorry, eyes aren't good today.
That's okay. Mr. Chair, would you like to allow
Yeah.
Lou?
Can we let him in, Tish?
Lou, I believe if you unmute yourself now, you can speak.
Okay. Wow, Rob, that was really good on my part. Step two. So, as I'm sure many of you know, I've been involved with WAHA since the beginning in the early 1990s, and I will not bore anyone with the details of it. But we do own 14 homes, thanks to the people of Westwood being so generous to us. And we have single family and multiple family homes there. And I would like to suggest to the board that you give Waha the first right of refusal to take a look at this property and also the other one to see if we may be interested in buying them. We are an agency of the town. We are I believe, I'll stand corrected if someone tells me up, we are the only board that has 6 single-family homes for rental. We have a number of other rental properties in the town, and I must say that we have received tremendous praise from the people who have lived in these single-family homes. We haven't, some of them, I'm not going to get into names here, that are disabled. We have some that have special needs going through it. We've had a tremendously great record since the 1990s when we started this. And ironically, we started this when Chase Estates, when the select board, and I helped them with it when we did a LIP program with the developer at Chase Estates, and then another LIP program with Cedar Hill. So I would like to ask the board for their consideration that you give us first right of refusal on a very short term. You can tell us we have 2 weeks and we'll come back and let you know if we would like to purchase it. I mean, the town has really been supportive of this. I think that everyone who's attending this as panelists know that. In 2018, town meeting voted for $1 million for affordable housing. That entire $1 million on 2 votes of the Board of Selectmen, one for 600,000 and one for 400,000, was given to Waha, and we were able to buy 3 homes. We're now at a situation, Mr. Chairman and Rob, where we can't afford to buy a house now. We've been trying to get one. We looked at a house that was for sale up in Pheasant Hill. The asking price was $750,000. We decided that we couldn't make it work for $750,000. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because the person who bought it bid $800,000. So we're at a situation now. The last home that we bought was on School Street in 2022. So this is an agency, obviously, since I've been working on it since the 1990s, that I'm very proud of, but also the entire town has shown great respect for it and has been very supportive. So I would ask your consideration to allow Waha to have your first right, the town's first right of refusal on a very short period of time. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I don't have any reservation about allowing, some type of first right of refusal unless this in some way impedes other action with the state. So I guess I would defer to Amanda and Nora first to just understand their understandings and recommendations. And Lou, we can't thank you enough for all that you have done, in starting this initiative, and, want to continue to support, but I need to just ask a little bit more in the way of clarification from our subject matter experts.
So if I could speak to that a bit, I'd like to begin by expressing what a great organization I believe the Westwood Housing Authority is, and the Westwood Affordable Housing Associates. They do a terrific job in providing rental affordable housing to residents of Westwood. And they do that in a manner which adds units to our subsidized housing inventory. As you recall, Westwood and all towns that want to avoid 40B projects have to remain above 10% on the subsidized housing inventory. We're currently above 10%, and we are not at risk of a recalculation until 2030. However, we are continually looking ahead to 2030, and we want to make sure that we expand our number of affordable units and stay above that number. Both of the properties we'll be speaking about today, but specifically 24 Cedar Hill Drive, which we're speaking about now, is a home ownership affordable unit, separate from a rental affordable unit. It's in a different category. It's offered, it has different benefits. And our housing production plan specifically encourages us to protect the current home ownership units, not decrease them in number as we would be doing if we were to allow Westwood Housing Authority to purchase this house. It would move from a home ownership unit to a rental unit, and it would not increase the number of units on our SHI. I would instead encourage the Housing Authority to continue to search for homes in town that they could purchase, market rate homes, that could be put into the affordable program and offered for rental. We know that there are a number of households in Massachusetts that are looking for home ownership opportunity like this one presents and like the other one we'll discuss tonight. And I strongly encourage the select board to allow this home to be sold to an eligible household and remain on our SHI as a home ownership unit.
Nora, help me out with the better understand in meeting our quota, whether it's ownership or rental. How does that impact our 10%?
So both can be listed as a home ownership unit can be listed. A rental unit can be listed as well. The home ownership units are listed for the duration of the restriction. And in this case, when this property is resold to an affordable homeowner, it will be listed in perpetuity. That would not necessarily be the case with a rental unit. If you don't mind, Amanda probably has more to add on that.
Please, thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, so I also want to reiterate that WAHA has been an integral part of our affordable housing, and none of this detracts from that in any way. There is more vulnerability with rentals than homeownership opportunities, because if at any time a unit is rented out to someone who's doesn't qualify, which can happen if during recertification they start to earn too much or they're not able to find a tenant, that comes off of our SHI temporarily until it's corrected. So there's a little bit more risk associated with rentals. The other thing that's important to consider is we are experiencing more and more people calling that are already in affordable rentals saying, I can no longer keep up and I'm being evicted. So rentals are subject to rental increases. And because of the way rental limits are calculated, just based on how it's established by HUD, we have no control over it. Right now, a 2-bedroom can go for over $2,600 a month in the affordable program. Whereas ownership provides stability because it's a consistent mortgage. And we've actually had people successfully go from an affordable rental to an affordable ownership and then actually be able to buy a market rate home in Westwood. So the home ownership is a high demand and integral part of our program. And like Nora said, it's also in our housing production plan that we're supposed to maintain and grow those numbers. So I would also highly encourage the select board to allow this to be sold to an income eligible buyer.
Thank you, Amanda. Rob, before I get to Tish, let's get Lou into the meeting here as a panelist, please.
I believe he's in, Joe.
No, he's just, he's in as an attendee, but he's got the permission to talk, so.
Oh,
He's
okay.
rejoining right now.
Thank you.
Joe, you mind if I?
Yeah, please go, Rob.
So, thank you both for, those explanations. And I think one of the ones that resonates most with me is I would not necessarily want, I would not, I'm not going to equivocate on this. I would not want to utilize town resources to buy homes that are already on the SHI. If we can buy homes that add to our inventory, Lou, I'm happy to support that. I just, hearing the distinction on the rental versus the ownership component and the fact that it would require, us to purchase those homes and it doesn't change our overall math in terms of the SHI, I'm reluctant to go that route, but I would like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
And just
wait a minute. Can you hear me?
now we can, yes.
Okay, now? No?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, Rob, that was twice tonight I was able to do this. First of all, I'd like to correct something Nora said. This would remain every one of the homes that Waha purchases. We put a clause in that it must remain affordable in perpetuity. So that is a clause that's put in. So we will not be losing this if it becomes a rental unit. The other thing is, it's a town agency that would own this. It's not someone else, some private developer that would own it. And we're only talking about 1 or 2 units here. And right now it's affordable. If we sell it, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm hearing it, if we sell it to another person who is stays as an affordable one. Am I missing something, Nora? Right now it's an affordable unit. If Waha doesn't get it, it's going to be sold to a person and it will remain an affordable unit. That's exactly what happens, Rob, if Waha buys it.
Mr.
It
Chair,
will remain an affordable. The only difference is that it will become a rental unit owned by an agency of the town. And it will stay in perpetuity as an affordable unit.
Thank you, Lou. Nora, you had something you wanted to say?
yeah, I just wanted to directly address the question that was asked. The difference would be that right now, if the select board offers the property for sale to an eligible household at no cost, no use of town funds or Waha funds, which were formerly town funds, which were some of the funds were allocated by town meeting to Waha. There are other funds that were allocated by planning board decisions to Waha. Those funds would remain available for the purchase of an additional home to be listed on our SHI, rather than simply being purchasing a home that's already on our SHI, as Rob mentioned. So I think that's the main difference, that if the select board names Waha or Westwood Housing Authority as its designee, you're taking an affordable ownership home and turning it into an affordable rental home, and you are not increasing the number of units on the SHI while using funds that could do so in the future.
Amanda, thank you, Nora. Amanda, I think you're up next.
Yeah, so I also want to point out some of the other logistics that would go into changing it from an ownership to a rental. This subdivision was approved with a certain number of the units supposed to be dedicated towards affordable homeownership. In order to make it a rental, we would have to modify that subdivision approval, gain approval from the HOA. So that would mean going back to the planning board likely. We would also have to look into any HOA documents to see what types of restrictions they have as well, and if they would conflict with it becoming a rental. It's a very long process, and we have a very short amount of time to transfer the property. So I would just caution that it's a risky decision to go through that process because nothing's a guarantee and you're time constrained. And if it falls through, then we lose the property altogether. So there's just a lot of factors that play into this.
Amanda, when you say we lose the property altogether, what happens?
So, or I heard Nora, I think, yeah.
Sure. So if I could explain, we went through the same discussion, I think it was about a year and a half ago when there was a condo unit at University Station that was up for sale, and Westwood Housing Authority, Waha, were interested in purchasing that. And we had the same concerns about the need to go back to the planning board, the time delay, and the potential loss of the unit. So what happens if we do not meet the time frame, which for the town is 90 days from the notice of intent to sell to the actual closing on the property, if we don't meet that time delay, then the property owner is eligible to sell their property to a non-eligible household, to any buyer they choose to sell their property to. And they can sell it at any amount. If they choose to sell it at an amount above the resale price that is set by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, they would have to give that additional funding to the town, and the town could use that for affordable housing. We have had experience with another property owner who had attempted to sell their property for the resale amount to another party who was ineligible, and I would be very concerned that we might see something like that happen again. So we lose the property. The property would no longer be eligible for listing on the SHI. It would no longer be an affordable property available to eligible households, and the town would reap nothing as a benefit.
So we lose it if we don't cut the cake on this within 90 days.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. I'll defer to town council. I think your hand was next, and then Lou, I'll come to you.
Yeah, hopefully I can take my hand down. So, so as I sit here and listen to the discussion, and I'm involved in the case that Nora is talking about. So I have concerns. No one wants to lose an affordable unit, okay? That's the good news. So as I sit here and think, my thought process is perhaps Waha can serve as a backstop. And I'm direct this question to Lou, that if they aren't able to find an affordable buyer within the time frame, perhaps Waha can step in and save it as an affordable unit. Just a thought.
You're on, Lou.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. This is just a matter. I think we could take this, the idea of losing it in 90 days. Thank you, Nora and Amanda, because that's true. But I don't think it's going to take us that period of time. Planning board has been really supportive of us. They've given us money for Waha. So I think this goes quickly through the planning board. And I can say from my experiences, in the last 10 or so years that housing, and there used to be housing, now housing in livable communities, that they're really supportive of the idea of Waha. And I understand they didn't say that, we could take a unit that was that someone owned and turn it into a rental. So please, I'm not trying to imply that. But I mean, the idea that we have this agency in the town that has, for 35 years has been renting to people. I have to tell you, in all seriousness, the nicest thing that happens here is when we get people who, we had a divorced mother with her 2 kids who lived in one of the first ones, and I won't go on, I promise, you got a lot to do, but stayed here. Her 2 kids got educated in Westwood, and she voluntarily left. It's the only person I know who voluntarily left the units. And she was so nice. She said, I can't believe that my kids got this great education here in Westwood, and I'm leaving because they're in college now, and I want someone else to be able to come in and rent that. So, we have that, the idea, sorry, Nora, but I wish I had $10 for every house I've looked at since 2022 when we bought School Street. We can't afford it. I mean, we just did the numbers up on Pheasant Hill. The price of starter homes in Westwood is outrageous. The town has been great. They gave us the $1 million from the 2018 article. You know, we're not talking about wanting 20 units. There's 25 in Chase Estates. And was it 7 or 8 in Cedar Hill? We're not asking for them all. We're asking for 2 of them. Give us the first right for 2 weeks to 2 of them. Thank you. And I promise you, Mr. Chairman, I won't belabor this.
Thank you, Lou. Amanda, you're next.
Let Nora go first because she had her hand up first.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nora.
That's fine. So I just, again, want to reiterate that Westwood Housing Authority is a wonderful organization. They do great work. The town has given them funds specifically to add affordable units to our SHI. Purchase of this unit would not do that. It's already an affordable unit. I encourage you to keep it an affordable homeownership unit and to consider putting additional funds forward at a future town meeting to add to the funds that WAHA already holds to bring them to the point where they could purchase a unit somewhere else in town that will be added to the SHI rather than take a unit that's out of home ownership. I don't believe that taking this unit and allowing it to be purchased by Westwood Housing Authority provides any benefit to the town. I believe it is contrary to the housing production plan, and I do believe there would be a significant time concern because the subdivision that would have to go back to the planning board for consideration of a modification, that application would have to come from the owners of the units in that subdivision and their mortgage holders. That has never been done before in Westwood. So there's no way to estimate how long that would take, but we don't even have anyone to file the application to begin with.
Mr. Chairman, you have a couple comments in the, and I don't mean to cut off Amanda, but you have a couple comments in the comment section, if you'd like. I can try and read, but that might be a stretch.
Let me give it a shot, Pat.
Okay.
You know, I take it back.
I'm happy to read them for you if you would
Okay,
like.
No,
thanks, Rob.
I've got this one. This isn't too
Okay.
bad. John Cummings, 4 Chickadee Lane. This is in line with past practices and has allowed the WAHA to pick up a number of properties and on affordable price for all they do for Westwood. Did I butcher that? Maybe a little. And then he has another comment. Please give the WAHA the opportunity. They just can't compete with the current housing prices. The rental would not go to local incentive program that it was in, but to the state list from HUD. And then he has another comment, just put up, when Tony A was on Tony Antonellis, I believe, on the select board, WAHA worked diligently to be able to get the first right of refusal. WAHA can't afford the $1 million
Extra dollars to match the market rate.
pardon me, the bulbs failed a little bit there.
Okay.
I feel your pain, Pat.
I hear you.
The Zoom print's too small. Rob, I have to be honest with you. I want to be supportive to WAHA. Is this a case where we have to, well, Marianne will come in on the next one, but what if we gave WAHA 2 weeks? I don't think that's going to kill us on this deal, to see what they come up with and see if WAHA can pick up one of these homes and have the other one go the other way.
So my only reservation with that, Joe, and again, I want to be totally supportive, Lou, of all that you guys are doing, and I really want it to be that it's adding to the overall inventory. I guess part of what I've got concerns about, having heard what Nora and Amanda have to say with respect to the process involved. Let's presume for a moment that, one of these properties was one that you could afford, right? And you move forward and we were going to try to purchase it. And now you've got those homeowners associations, the owners of all of the homes within the association and their mortgage holders. That sounds like a very lengthy, convoluted process that could then put that property at risk. And so that's the piece that I think I've got the greatest concern with, coupled with the idea that, you know, expending those resources doesn't actually add to our housing inventory. So I'm being, I know I'm being very, very practical in this matter, and I'm totally supportive of all that Waha is doing. And, you know, the stories are moving. So I'm just trying to be prudent here in the approach.
Lou, do you have a response to what Rob just said?
I understand it. So listen, I mean, I served as chief counsel of the House of Representatives for 25 years, so I know what the long process is to do anything. So I'm not going to say that it's a done deal, but I understand this. One thing, Rob, if I may,
Sure.
It's an affordable unit right now. Am I losing it, or is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's an affordable home ownership unit right now.
Yeah.
It stays an affordable unit. Am I correct?
It stays an affordable home ownership unit if it's sold to an eligible household. It becomes an affordable rental unit if it's sold to Waha. In neither instance does it add one unit to our SHI.
Right. Okay. That's what I wanted to get at. Because I think it's been, at least from what I've been hearing, I'm not saying anyone said anything wrong. It doesn't, if Waha doesn't get it as a rental and it's sold, it's going to be sold to someone who's, I believe, can't imagine that will go at market rate. It's going to be sold to someone who's going to keep it as an affordable. So we don't add anything either way.
Correct, but we haven't spent the money that Waha was given to purchase units to add to our SHI. So if Waha holds on to that money and hopefully acquires additional funds, that Waha will be eligible to purchase another property that will actually add to our SHI. The funds that were given to Waha, both the funds that came from town meeting and the funds that came from 2 planning board approvals, were intended to add new units to our SHI. They were not intended to change an existing unit already on our SHI from an affordable home ownership unit to an affordable rental unit.
Now, that's your opinion.
Yes, it is.
That's your opinion. It's not mine. I don't want to keep going, Nora.
Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of, you know, my feeling on it as well, Lou, is, you know, we're not spending any money to acquire the current home ownership unit to convert it to rental. And, you know, I'm looking for, how do we expend Waha resources to add to the SHI total inventory? And so whether we move it from the rental or the ownership side of the ledger is immaterial, because it doesn't actually increase the overall inventory. So that was where my head is on it.
No, I'm sorry, Rob, if I misunderstood you. You're absolutely right. We aren't coming back to the select board to ask for more money. I can assure you. We understand there's many more needs that you have, and we can't thank the board enough. Poor Nancy Hyde, I only spent about 10 hours with her, trying to convince her that we should get the money, and they gave us 600,000 and then 400,000. But honestly, we're just at the point. We were ready to put down as a down payment on that house on Pheasant Hill, 300, and it was it was 750. We were going to put down 375,000. So we have some money, thanks to the town, thanks to some private contributions that we received, and thanks to the planning board for having money on the down at the homes at 45 and at Fox Hill. So we can't thank the town enough for your support. I'm serious. Since 2022, if I got paid for the number of houses that I've looked at, I'd be a lot richer than I am right now.
Thank you, Lou. Nora, can we just back up first? Nora or Amanda? Oh, Amanda, your hand's up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm disheartened to see that the conversation has panned out the way it has, because I do want to make it clear that we are extremely supportive of WAHA. They are truly an integral part of what we do. But homeownership and rentals are different things, and they serve different needs and are in both essential parts of the continuum and ensuring people can actually grow in socioeconomic status and actually come out of the program and not be in it in perpetuity. As much as I'm sympathetic that it's expensive for WAHA to purchase another home, that's also taking the opportunity away from another family who wants to purchase their first home. So WAHA is competing for those same starter homes as people that want to be in this program. And I've had people, when this has come up in the past, where WAHA was interested in being the designee, I've had homeowners express their concern about it being transferred to a rental because that was totally against the spirit of what being in the program was for them. And like I said, we're seeing increasing displacement in the affordable rentals because they're just getting too expensive. Whereas we have had really successful homeowners in this program. So both for practical reasons, but also just in actually responding to community needs, I have a full list of people waiting for one of these homes to become available so they can enter the lottery, that they've been waiting for years. So that's what I'm beholden to, is what the community tells me, and also the housing production plan. And I just would strongly encourage the board to consider that.
I know I said I'd be quiet, Mr. Chair, but can I have 2 more words?
Let me just get one thing in, Lou, first.
Sure, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Nora, just, and Amanda, help me one more time. So this home's in a homeowners association. They have to get the homeowners association to have a meeting and to change the articles of their association. Is that what, tell me about that step?
Now, they would have to
So-
go back to the planning board and likely the zoning board, because this was developed under a comprehensive permit, and they will need to modify that comprehensive permit. In order to do that, the original comprehensive permit was, the applicant was a single company, but the property is now subdivided and owned by several individuals, several households, and there's interest in each of those properties by mortgage holders. In order to have a modification of a subdivision application, and I believe a modification of a comprehensive permit that would also have to go along with this, we would need those property owners and those mortgage holders to consent to the modification. It's a daunting task. I don't know how long it will take, but I am certain, just knowing what the deadlines are for both the zoning board and the planning board meetings, I don't see any way that it would be done within 90 days. And that assumes that both the zoning board and the planning board would agree to modify the decisions,
Okay.
which is not a sure thing.
Okay, let me just
You know,
let me just color this down. So we're going to have a meeting with the planning board, and we may have to have a meeting with the zoning board because of the comprehensive permit. But help me out again with the homeowners association. That's one component I don't fully understand.
I don't know that it would be the homeowners association. It would be the individual homeowners, the people who hold deeds or mortgages on the individual properties within the subdivision, within Chase Estates or Cedar Hill Estates, if that other property is considered. So whichever property is considered for removal from the home ownership program, it requires a modification to the approvals that were previously granted, because those approvals were based on a home ownership program.
And Nora, how many homes in Cedar Hill?
36, maybe. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that. No, maybe it's less than that. Let me check.
No.
I will look it up right now.
Okay.
if I can
Yes, go ahead,
Yeah.
Amanda.
One other step that they'll have to take is also going through the regulatory agreement process. So when it's an affordable rental, it has a regulatory agreement. When it's an affordable homeownership, it has a deed rider. As part of that regulatory agreement application, both, as you know, the select board and also the housing partnership would have to sign off on that. When this came up about 2 years ago with the condo, It ultimately didn't pan out, but the housing partnership at the subsequent meeting did have a discussion that they are beholden to the housing production plan and would not support switching a affordable homeownership to an affordable rental. That was the housing partnership at that time. They could obviously decide differently if it were to come to them again, but that would be an additional hurdle to overcome.
That's Westwood's housing partnership.
Yes, yeah.
So I believe, if I'm counting right, there are either 50 or 51 houses in the Cedar Hill Estates.
I thought it was around 48, so I think you're right, Nora. It's up there. Look, Rob, go ahead.
So may I offer a suggestion for how we might move this forward? I'm very, very sympathetic to lose and Waha's ability to be competitive in today's market. And I think, we've talked at length about, the mission to be able to create those units and add to our housing inventory, our affordable housing inventory. Might we look at having some follow-up discussions with Waha to understand what additional funding they might need to be able to be competitive? Because obviously it doesn't do us a whole lot of good to have an agency that can't actually buy a property to activate against their mission. So, is there something that we should be doing to look to next year's town meeting or, somewhere in between to be able to, augment some of the funding available to allow Waha to be more competitive? Because I'm concerned about and Nora, correct me, or Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, if if we were in either development, they don't have to have a condo association. It is literally each and every homeowner and their mortgage holders that would have to consent to the conversion of the property from an ownership status to a rental status.
Thank you, Rob. Lou, your
Yeah.
last bite, 2 minutes.
First of all, I like your suggestion, Mr. Chair. I mean, give us 2 weeks. Honest to God, I think you know me well. I may very well come back in 2 weeks and say, look, we tried, everybody was cooperative, we can't do it. You're not going to lose anything for 2 weeks. And let's do that. The other thing is, I know what Amanda said, and I'm sure it's true about people not being able to afford to stay in the rental units. That's never happened to Waha. We have never had a tenant. We keep the rents low enough so that they do not leave. Some in the multifamily ones, we've had a few people leave. In the single family ones, the list is a mile long for people who want to come in and rent a single family affordable unit in town here. So we do our best to make sure that once the people move in, that they don't have to move out because the rent goes up. We go up a little bit each year, but it's minimal.
Lou, thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
I admire the work that Waha does. I'm very appreciative, and I admire the work that you've done. But I'm trying to sort this out, and I got to be honest with you, Lou. You're one tough, hard-working cowboy, but I don't think Sisyphus could pull off this task between the planning board, the zoning board, the permit projects, and the regulatory agreements. I'll tell you how it's looking to me, and Rob, you tell me if you see it the same way, but it sounds as though, as noble and as great as Waha is, I don't see them capturing any rental units in any of our 40B projects or where there are housing associations. It's just going to be impossible to do.
I think my biggest concern in that is I don't want to give the 2 weeks of right of first refusal and presume failure, right? I don't want to go into it assuming that you're not going to be able to afford it. So the question then becomes, okay, if you can, now we have all of this other stuff that Nora and Amanda have just laid out with respect to all of the other homeowners in the development, and importantly, they're in institutions that hold the mortgages. That to me is what gives me the greatest pause in this. So, you know, I'm willing to go where you'd like to go, Mr. Chair. I just, you know, I have some reservations as to the ability to thread this needle and what happens if we do. If we give the 2 weeks and there is something that is actually affordable for Waha, we still have a number of hoops to go through. So that is my overriding concern, and you know, I'm gonna stand down until we are ready to make a motion.
Thank you.
Lou, I'm sorry, but I'm ready to cut the cake on it. I'll stick with what I said. I'd love to give you the 2 weeks, Lou, but I just don't see a successful rabbit coming out of the hat. I just don't see it. This is just looks like an impossible task to me to do. I'm I'm sorry, Lou, but I'm not going to support giving you the option of Waha, not you personally, but Waha first refusal. So that's Pat, unless you have some other thoughts on
I
it.
don't,
Okay,
not at this time.
I'll cut the cake. So Rob, you want to make a motion?
I will.
So
Oh,
just procedurally,
Yes.
I think Rob has to make a motion, and I think it's your
Yeah.
choice to second it or not,
Yeah.
but you can second it out of the doctrine of necessity.
Yep.
Thank you. I move the select board authorize 24 Cedar Hill Drive to be resold to an eligible buyer according to the terms of the deed rider.
I'll second the motion out of necessity, and I'll do roll call. Rob?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Can we let Mary Ann back into the meeting, please?
And Lou, I still think we need to have that continued conversation to see how do we help you continue to add to the inventory in town. So I look forward to continuing that conversation with you.
Thank you, Rob. I deeply appreciate that, because we just spent over 100,000 rehabbing one of the units. If we could get some money just on rehabbing them, that would be great. Thank you so much, Joe and Rob, for all of your consideration.
Well, we do have another parcel, correct, Lou? So
Yeah.
yeah, you can certainly, but Lou, well, you and I, we can discuss it offline. I feel terrible about it, but I think this is probably in the towns. We didn't have much of a choice, is how I see it.
I thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Deeply appreciate it.
Mary Ann, welcome.
Thank you.
Now we're on to 36 Whitney Ave, and Amanda or Noah, who's going to help us with this?
I can take this.
Okay.
So similar to 24 Cedar Hill Drive, the owner of 36 Whitney Avenue has passed away. And so in this case, they have not submitted their completed notice of intent. However, they are working on the process right now. The reason we decided to have it come to the select board now is because the next time this likely can come up again on an agenda is June. And if we receive the notice of intent in the meantime, the clock starts. So what we're suggesting with this one is that the select board votes contingent upon receipt of a completed notice of intent. Just like with the previous property we discussed, when this goes up for resale, the older deed rider that expires after 50 years will be replaced with the universal deed rider that goes in perpetuity. So it goes from a short-term addition to our SHI to a long-term one. Other than that, it's like I said, it's very similar to the other property, and we are requesting that the select board consider also allowing this one to be sold to an eligible buyer.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
We had a meeting about this, and I opined that I believe that you can vote contingent upon it listing to be able to move the process forward. So it's a little bit different. In the other house is ready to go, if I'm not mistaken, and this one you're saying when it gets ready to go, they have the option to move the process forward. And that's vital because the time moves quickly.
I understand, but on this one, Pat, the clock hasn't started, correct?
It has not.
All right. Let me get down.
Mr. Chair, would you like, I know we're gonna have discussion, but out of, out of continuity of, on this article, or on this, not article, on this, particular issue, I'd be happy to make the motion when we come time.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the, I did not bookmark the motion.
Page 38.
Yep.
Are you ready for a motion, or do we want to have discussion? Mary Ann, I don't know if you were able to hear any of the prior discussion with respect to Waha, so
I did hear it.
without trying to rehash all of it.
It was painful. Mary. While I'm looking for, Lou, do you have any comments on this one?
No, let's see. Thank you. So,
Okay, I'm ready, Rob.
All right, I move the select board authorize 36 Whitney Ave to be resold to an eligible buyer according to the terms of the deed rider, and to make the resale contingent upon the receipt of the anticipated notice of intent.
Second that.
Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. All right,
Thank you.
Lou,
Thank you.
Lou, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your
thank you
input.
very much. I really appreciate it. And I will be back.
Sure you will.
That's a threat.
Thanks,
You do
Lou.
Thanks
great
so
work.
much.
You do
Take care.
great work. Okay.
Thank
We're
you.
we're up to our proprietary bid specifications. Sounds like we've got Chip from Dore and Woody here.
Yes,
Mom
good afternoon.
taking this? Who's hi Chip? Or are you gonna
Chip's
lead
gonna
off?
Chip's gonna take us out, take us away.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please
no.
go, Chip. Yep.
So the two, we were here a couple meetings ago and we were talking about proprietary items. They all, went through fine. We realized as we got closer and closer to actually getting out to bid that a couple of products had been discontinued. So we actually have two more products that we just needed to add to this list, and they're both pretty straightforward. In your packet, you should have on page 3, it should be a foamed in place insulation cement overcoat. This is required. This is the fire separation between the spray foam insulation and the interior space. It's a code requirement that we need to have. These are the only two companies, Flame Control Coatings and Flame Seal LLC are the only two companies that make a product that meets our criteria for that meets all of the criteria that we need because it's an interior space, but it is somewhat of a wet condition. It has to meet a higher degree of heavy dutiness, if you will. So there are two. We can't find a third currently in the marketplace, so we have to make this item proprietary. And then on the page 6 in the packet this is for the tile backer cement board behind the tiling for the wet walls, and this has to do with just having a high enough resistance to mold. So only two products that we find are capable of meeting that threshold are the perma-based cement board and Dura-Rock by USG. So just because there's only two of each of those, we need to add those to the proprietary list as well. Is there any questions on either of those?
I've got overhead doors down on the list as well.
So overhead doors, all the other ones in the packet have already been signed.
Okay.
Yep. So these basically what I did is I put together a composite of what was completed and what was not completed.
Okay.
Just so it was all in one document. We
Got
can
it.
add signatures to these two sheets. And then I think we'll just be able to file that away.
Thank you, Chip.
Yep.
Rob, Marianne, do you folks have any questions?
I do not. Thank you, Chip.
Nor do I.
I don't see anything in the queue. Anybody like to make a motion?
I would. I move that we designate the foamed in place insulation as proprietary for bidding purposes and for the select board chair to sign the record of vote with either a wet or electronic signature.
Second that motion.
Roll call, Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
I also move that we vote to designate the gypsum tile backer board as proprietary for bidding purposes and for the select board chair to sign the record of vote with either a wet or electronic signature.
Second that motion.
Thank you, Rob. Roll call, Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. Excellent. Thank you,
Excellent.
Chip.
Great. Thank you, and congratulations. And the news earlier is great to hear. So congratulations on that as well.
Thanks, Chip.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We had some
Bye.
hard workers on it.
Yes, no, all in all, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chip. Next I've got grant award for firefighting safety equipment.
Yes.
Is the
Chief
chief here?
was here, but he had a personal matter that he had to attend to, so
Okay,
I'm happy to take this on his behalf, Mr. Chair.
thank you.
So the town was notified back in April from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security and Department of Fire Service that the Westwood Fire Department was awarded a second round grant in the amount of $9,427 for firefighter safety equipment. Just to remind the board, back in January, we signed a document. We were awarded, the fire department was awarded previously for the same grant in the amount of $11,745.99. Totaled, that's $21,172.99, which is the chief is planning to use for 2 sets of turnout gear. But right
Excellent.
now, what we're asking the board is to support the grant in the amount of $9,427.
Got it. Okay. Any discussion? Anyone like to make a motion?
I would, Joe. I move that we accept the FY 2025 firefighter safety equipment grant award of $9,427 and authorize the town administrator to sign the grant documents.
I second that motion.
Roll call, Marianne,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. Next, we're down to discuss and vote and post the June 3rd special town election warrant. And I believe Dottie's going to help us with this. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Don't believe Dottie's here, Mr.
Yep,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I am. I'm
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry. There she is.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
No problem. Dottie, great to see you. Can you walk
Great
us
to see
through
you too.
this part of our agenda?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Privatera and Select Board members. The special town election will be held on June 3rd. And we have the warrant that is ready for posting that I'd like you to look at and sign this evening. I just have a few reminders for residents. Voter registration deadline is Friday, May 23rd. The town clerk's office will be offering a special voter registration session that day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's also going to be early voting for this election in person, and this will take place on Wednesday, May 21st and Thursday, May 22nd from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. in the Gillette Meeting Room at Westwood Police Station, located at 588 High Street. You can also vote by mail. You have to submit your application to the town clerk's office on or before Tuesday, May 27th at 5 p.m. On election day, Tuesday, June 3rd, all voting will take place in the gymnasium at Westwood High School. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. Any questions, comments, thoughts on this?
Thank you, Dottie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work, Dottie. I know it's a busy time of year for you. Anybody like to make a motion?
I would. I move that we vote to sign and post the warrant for the June 3rd, 2025 special town election warrant, and for the warrant to be posted by the constables throughout town and online on the town website.
I second that motion.
Roll call. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Next, I've got a number of agendas. The next thing I had was discuss, vote, adopt revised personnel policies, but I had asked that we delay this discussion given the size of the agenda, and I needed additional time reading some of the policies that were submitted. Where do we stand on that, Chris?
So the board can certainly vote that. My recommendation, if you are gonna postpone that to a future date, although the dates have not been confirmed, the suggested date of June 23rd.
I'm fine with that.
Good to me.
Mary Ann, would you be so kind to make a motion? To, well, it's on the
Does that,
agenda.
does that
so-
require a motion?
It doesn't require a motion.
Oh, great, okay. So it wasn't on our agenda. Well, whatever.
You're taking no action on it
Okay,
tonight. You'll take action on it at a future meeting.
okay, thanks, Pat. Thanks, Rob. Next is appointments, reappointments of the boards and committees. I believe we have one for the Ped Bike Committee. Are you taking that, Chris?
I'm sorry?
Appointments to the Ped Bike Committee?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, we had a group, including the chair, myself and the chair of Ped Bike, met with a resident named Andrew Solomon, who would like to join the Ped Bike Committee. He has attended some of the Ped Bike meetings. It was unanimous recommendation, from our group to the select board to, appoint Mr. Solomon, to the Ped Bike Committee, and with full support from the chair, Michael Kraft. And
Thank
just to
you,
be
Chris.
clear, that would be for term ending on June 30, 2027.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion on Mr. Solomon?
Be glad to. I move that we appoint Andrew Solomon as a member of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee for a term to expire on June 30, 2027.
Second that motion.
Roll call. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well, and just put in a plug to folks listening that volunteers do an awful lot of work. We have plenty of opportunities if folks are interested in volunteering on some of these different boards. And, I think we have it on the portal, right, Chris? Those openings, yeah.
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair.
And thank you to Mr. Solomon for volunteering.
Yes. Next we have meeting minutes. I did get to walk through those. Any questions or comments on those? They look good to me, as always.
I had no additions or changes.
Nor
Okay.
do I.
Mary Ann?
I move that we approve the minutes for our March 24, 2025 meeting as written.
Second that motion.
Roll call. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
I also move that we approve the minutes for our April 7, 2025 meeting as written.
Second that as well.
Thank you, Rob. Roll call. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Which brings us to the end, unless there's some information or something Rob, Mary Ann, you folks would like to share. Otherwise, I'm happy to announce our next meeting on May 22nd, 2015, 8 a.m.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I believe we were going to add potentially a meeting just prior to town meeting on Monday. Is that, am I?
No, you're right. I think that was at 5 o'clock. Is that the one you mean, Rob? Yeah. Okay,
That
so
is-
our next meeting will be in person.
To be determined, Joe.
Yeah, at the Westwood High School at 5 p.m. And then following that, we may have a meeting Thursday, May 22nd at 8 a.m.
Just to be clear, Joe, that's for the first one at 5 p.m. is May 19th, right before
Okay.
town meeting.
Thank you. All right, anything else before we adjourn?
Not for me.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second that motion.
Roll call. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.